And look, you feel broke, and you should, because you've done everything they told you to. You worked, you paid your bills, you paid down as much of that house as you could, maybe you paid it off. And every month, it still feels like you're treading water with weights on your ankles. But before you totally sink, get this, somewhere in a building you will never set foot in, somebody looked at you and decided you're actually rich. Not comfortable, not getting by, rich. The kind of rich they figure can afford to hand over a little more, like you have yet to pay your fair share. You didn't get a raise. Your life didn't get 1 inch easier. Nothing about your Tuesday changed. The only thing that moved is a number on a screen. They reclassified you. And the bill for being rich lands on the one thing you thought was safe, your home. Now, there's a window to get ahead of this. Most people don't even know it's open. I'm gonna show you the exact move you can make while the rules still favor you. But first, you need to see how big this really is. Because it's not just you, and you're not imagining it. Affordability is the number one thing keeping Americans up at night right now. You're not soft, you're not bad with money, the vice is real. And here's who's been turning it. There's two forces actually, one on each side of you. The first one you already feel every time you check out at the grocery store, inflation. The second one you're about to meet, and it's the one nobody's connecting to your house yet. Together, they've got you in the middle. So let me show you the trick. Picture a fence running across a field. On one side, regular people. On the other side, marked with a big sign, the rich. That's where they stand. The people the system decided ain't paying enough. Your whole life, you stood on the regular side of that fence. And you never moved. That's the whole game though. You never moved. You didn't get a windfall. You're standing in the exact same spot you've always stood. But one night, quietly, they picked up the fence and set it back down behind you. They didn't walk you over to the rich side. They'd have to admit that out loud and you'd fight it. So they just moved the line. Same house, same you, same struggle. But now the fence is at your back. The rich sign is over your shoulder. And on paper, you're standing in rich territory. And here's why they can do it without a single vote. That fence is supposed to move with the cost of living. But they didn't do that. When everything gets more expensive, the line for rich is supposed to slide up too. So it always lands on the actually wealthy. But they nailed it in place. Inflation floats your home's number up, up, up. And the fence just sits there. So every year, inflation shoves a few million more people across that line. They don't have to raise your taxes. They don't have to pass a thing you'd notice. They leave the fence where it is and let inflation push you over it. You get reclassified as rich by standing perfectly still. All right, let me set the metaphor aside for a sec and just show you the fence in real life. When you sell your home, the first $250,000 of profit is tax-free if you're single, $500,000 if you're married. Sounds fair. Here's the part they leave out. That limit was set in 1997, back when the Macarena was basically a national public health crisis and Nicolas Cage was an A-list action star. The median house back then ran around $125,000. Today, it's north of $400,000. The house tripled. The fence hasn't moved. That exclusion might be the only thing left from 1997 that hasn't aged a day. So walk the math with me. You bought in the late 90s for $300,000. You sell today for $1.3 million. That's $1 million in gain. Take off your $500,000 exclusion. You're still holding $500,000 in taxable gain, landing on your return the year you sell, like income. For 1 year, on paper, the IRS treats you like a Wall Street hedge fund guy. You've been reclassified. They turn a lifetime of shelter into a one-time accounting anomaly. For 12 months, the math says you're a financial titan, an apex predator, just long enough to skin you like one. And then they toss you right back into the middle-class pond. And all you did was you had the audacity to keep your house for 30 years. And that's just the federal floor. Watch what the states stack on top. Massachusetts passed what they branded a millionaire tax, a surtax on income over $1 million a year, marketed for the yacht and caviar crowd, people who name their kids Thurston. That's who they swore this thing was built for. But a wealth management firm up in Boston ran the real numbers on just a regular couple. They bought their house years ago for 300 grand, sold it for 2.5 million. Just long-time blue-collar owners in a housing market that lost its mind. After the $500,000 exclusion, they're still sitting on $1.7 million in gain. And that one sale shoved their income for that year over the millionaire line, or fence, if you will. Their bonus bill from that surtax alone, about $68,000. 68 grand. That's not a policy tweak. That's a brand new SUV parked square on your chest, on a house. A house where somebody definitely threw up on the living room carpet in 2004. That's not a tax on a hedge fund. That's a tax on a lifetime of memories. And the policy guy up there said the quiet part into a microphone, that this lands on people who never earn $1 million in a normal year on the one-time sale of a home. That's not the glitch. That's the machine. Then there's the one that should stop you cold. Washington State. 100 years, no income tax. This year, they signed one, a tax on income over $1 million. The state that swore up and down it never would. Trusting a state government's promise to never tax your income is like leaving a raccoon alone in a bakery with a signed contract that says it'll only look at the danishes. It's not in its nature. It's going to eat the danishes, all of them, and probably the cakes and the muffins too. California's got a billionaire version on the ballot this November. New Jersey's already got theirs. Same fence, state after state, and every time they swear it stops at the top. So here's the part I can't prove. I can't show you a memo where somebody sat in a room and planned this. I won't pretend I can. But I can show you the pattern because we've watched this exact movie twice already. 1913, they invent the income tax. Less than 1% of the country pays a dime. Don't worry, it's just for the robber barons. It's just for the rich. I mean, the really rich. Within a generation, it was hitting damn near every paycheck in America. The AMT, the Alternative Minimum Tax, built in 1969 to catch exactly 155 wealthy families. I mean, the wealthiest families. 155 of them. They forgot to index it for inflation. And within a couple decades, it was landing on middle-class homeowners who'd never even heard the word. Whoops. They just forgot to index it. A total administrative oversight, the kind that quietly vacuums the equity out of your grandma's duplex for the next 40 years. Every time, the recipe's the same. Aim it at the rich, easy targets, but then freeze the fence and wait. Let inflation push everyday average homeowners over it one at a time. And here's the part that'll really get you. You're already paying a tax on your home's unrealized gains. Wealth you've accumulated, but yet to cash in. Right now, this year. It's called your property tax. You've been paying a tax on paper gains for years. You just called it the property tax bill. Inflation pushes that up too. So that's force number one that has reclassified you as rich. Inflation did it. But inflation isn't working alone. There's a second force out there working in cahoots. Picture a candle lit at both ends. One end is inflation, burning from the right, moving you toward that rich line, whether you like it or not. And the other end, that's the new flame, a political movement, burning from the left, waiting at the line to collect the second you cross it. Inflation pushes you in, they're standing there when you arrive. And that second flame is not a someday thing. Watch what just happened this month, last week actually, New York. The slate running with the socialist movement swept the Democratic primaries. They beat 2 sitting members of Congress and another incumbent's hand-picked successor. The headline upset? A 32-year-old Democratic socialist knocked off a 5-term congressman. Down ballot, they're picking up around 15 seats in the state legislature. And the millions in outside money spent to stop them, mostly lost. It ain't working. Last week, Washington, D.C., a Democratic socialist won the primary for mayor. Los Angeles, one's in the runoff for mayor right now. In Seattle, already swore one in this year. And the people powering all of it are young, the under 30 crowd. The same 62% who tell pollsters they like the sound of socialism. Now here's the part that lands on your house. You don't have to guess what they want. They say it out loud, on the record. Tax the rich. And the mayor at the center of it is already lining up to raise taxes on wealthy people. in a city where wealthy is starting to look an awful lot like owns a home. They've let it slip out too, more than once. The mayor at the center of all this floated abolishing private property outright. His own housing appointee called owning a home a tool of white supremacy. And another socialist who just ran for Congress had to scrub old social media posts that called to seize private property, nationalize whole industries, and ban owning private property altogether. 3 individuals in positions of power today who have never owned a home of their own are challenging your right to own yours. Now, they've all walked back their comments once they caught fire, but they're there. The people openly asking whether you should own that house at all are the same ones now writing the tax policy aimed at it. Is it everywhere yet? No. It's the big cities first. But that is exactly how every one of these starts. The bills don't die. They just wait for the voters. And the voters are showing up. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a press release. It's a warning. I mean, check this. Watch what they actually do with the power once they've got it. Last week, busy week, a board the new mayor handpicked froze the rent on 1 million apartments. The first chance they got, they started poking at those property rights. And you know what happens once the camel gets its nose under the tent. Their own landlord board member quit in protest on the way out the door. Said the panel had stopped looking at the numbers and just votes the answer it already wanted. That's the part to sit with. Not whether you like landlords or not, whether you like the machine. Because the same logic that decides what an owner can do with their property is the logic now eyeing what you can keep when you sell your home. Have you heard the classic tale? A woodman goes into the forest and humbly begs the trees to give him just a small, simple piece of wood so he can make a handle for his new axe. The trees, feeling it's a minor and harmless request, generously agree and sacrifice a plain, small ash tree. However, as soon as the woodman fits the handle onto his axe, he immediately uses it to chop down the largest, most noble oak and cedar trees in the forest. Here's the one move this week. Know your number. Pull your original purchase price. Then dig up every receipt for every improvement you've ever made. The roof, the kitchen, the addition, because every one of those dollars raises your basis and shrinks your taxable gain. You want to do that. Subtract it from what the place is worth today. That number is your gain. That's how close you already sit to the fence. That's your rich reclassification number. Most people have never once done that math. So I want you to do it this weekend at the kitchen table. And here's the sentence to say to your spouse when you do. If we sold this house, here's the number the government would treat as income. And then watch their face. That's the conversation that changes how you plan everything else from this day forward. And then from there, just 2 more moves. How your deed is actually held and whether you leave that equity just sitting there exposed instead of working for you. Not tonight's job, those are next steps, and I'll leave them in the description so you can go at your own pace. So you can believe you're broke, do nothing, and let the fence keep sliding up behind you. That's one play. Or you treat the deed like what it now is, the target, and get ahead of it while the rules still favor you. Know your number, have the conversation, make the moves. The millionaires and billionaires this whole thing was built for, they've got the liquidity to slip the hook. They can get the lawyers, the trust, the options. You've got a house and a fixed income, so you don't get to do nothing. Listen, I'm just a United States Marine who buys houses for a living. I'm no economist, but I can connect the dots, and every one of them points at the one thing you actually own. But while you're watching the front door, I started looking at the back one, the deed itself, the actual piece of paper that says the house is yours. Turns out that's getting moved to a digital registry soon, and there's a gap in it most homeowners have no idea exists. The same gap that let someone in Detroit lose their home to a lien they had never seen. And that's why I pulled this one out here for you to watch next. You see, I went and pulled apart the 3 documents that actually lock that back door, the ones that turn your house from an easy target into something they can't touch. So watch this one next before you do anything else, because knowing your number doesn't mean much if the deed with your name on it isn't actually safe. God loves you, and so do I. Take care.